So, one of the worst feelings that I think a lot of us go through if we are in the 9 to 5, we live doing the working week, is the thing of getting to the weekend and not just wasting it, you know, and just not really enjoying yourself because you know that you're wasting the weekends, and you know that before you know it, you're just going to be straight back at work, and you're going to have to do it all again, basically. The weekend's something that you really look forward to in the working week. It's kind of the ultimate goal of the 9 to 5. And yet, we so readily just squander it and waste it when we're at work. And it's a really awful feeling, because it's the whole reason you're here. You know, it's the whole reason you're excited at the end of the week. And yeah, it's really bad. And you want to be able to make the weekends productive and not feel like you're wasting them, because otherwise there's just no real point. Unless you're really 100% in on the job you're doing, and that's where you derive your sense of purpose. It's not going to be enough, really. Like, you need something more you need to basically make the weekends productive. So in this video, I'm basically just going to do I'm going to say what I do to make my weekends productive, and how I get the most out of them, and how I make them worthwhile. Because personally, for me, I do think that my weekends are very productive. There'll be some occasional weekends where, for whatever reason, I've just been burning it a bit too hard, burning the candle at both ends, and either maybe I feel a bit ill, or I'm a bit burnt out, a bit under the weather, whatever. And so I'll kind of just have those weekends just to rest and recover. But they aren't very common, and mostly I spend my weekends in a very directed and productive way, where I get something out of it. It feels productive. You know, I look back on the weekend and I think I've got something done. I've ticked something off. And so I'm going to talk through that in this video. It's really funny, because sometimes honestly I get into work after the weekend, like it's Monday now and I'm about to go into work, and I always ask people, like, oh, well, what have you been up to at the weekend? And I always get the same kind of reaction. They always just kind of look at me and kind of pull a face and just be like, you know, just chills, you know. And it's just, I just think, like, you're cool with that? Really? You know, like, you just sat around and maybe went for a run and, you know, did the laundry. Like, is that what you were looking forward to all week? Just getting home and doing that? And yeah, I don't know, it really confuses me that people can, like, be happy with wasting their weekend. So anyway, you know, this is basically what I do to stop wasting the weekends. So what it really comes down to is, and this is going to sound like I'm stating the obvious, but just bear with me. So you basically want to just work out what you actually want to do with the weekends. You know, this is not how a lot of people start. When most people want to be productive during the weekends, they want to make the most of it. They don't really start with this question of, like, what do you actually want to do? What do you actually want to accomplish with the weekends, you know? When you're sitting in your office and, it's Thursday and, you know, it's only a couple of, not too long to the weekend, what are you doing in your imagination in the weekend, in that moment? And just really reflect on it, because that's the key thing. You want to have some fairly authentic desire about the weekend, about what you're going to do at the weekend. And most of the time, when we feel like we're wasting the weekend, it's because we don't have anything to do with it, you know, or what we're doing is not really what we want to be doing. And we haven't quite worked it out, and that's why we feel annoyed at ourselves. So really work that out. And it boils down normally to two things, basically, and it doesn't really matter what it is. I think the weekend this sort of brief period of freedom you have to do basically whatever you like, there are two things you can really do with it. One is you can spend it very productively working on something that isn't related to your job, but it serves some kind of higher purpose in your life, that maybe it's something you want to build as a income stream in the future, or you want it to be just a side project that you're just doing for fun, right? Something like that, some kind of work that's not directly related to your job. And the second thing is you just want to have fun. You just want to enjoy yourself on the weekend. And both are like good ways of spending the weekend. Like whichever one you fall into, it really doesn't matter. All that matters really is just doing what you genuinely want to do during the weekend. And this is the approach that I take. I just really work out what could I actually do this weekend that if I look back on it, I thought, you know what, that was quite a good use of time. So this is what I'll do. I'll just sit down on a Friday evening with a pad of paper, and I'll just ask myself, like, look, I don't have some overarching vision for my life. I don't have a super clear, like, 5-year plan of, like, what I'm going to work towards. But what I do have is, like, if I don't have this, like, what sort of things could I just try, you know? What sort of things would it be better that I did do this weekend than I didn't? You know, what stuff just moves the needle a little bit closer? And I'll just write that down. So, I've literally got the list here. This is the kind of stuff that I've done this weekend. So I just wrote at the top, weekend goals and plans. And first thing I wrote is Shadowroy videos finished. So I have this other YouTube channel where I do travel vlogs, and I've got these videos from Shadowroy, which is just this town in Belgium. And this weekend I just wanted to sit down and basically finish editing them. Next thing I've got is heavy journaling sesh. So just go and do some journaling. Go to the Ashmolean Museum, get a haircut, you know, this kind of stuff. You know, and I've got a few miscellaneous sort of organising stuff. Again, like this stuff isn't really like super really important. But it's just stuff where I'm like, I can't think of anything best to do. And I think this is my best bet, so I might as well do this. And yeah, this is basically what I'm going to recommend you do. Just write down a list of stuff. And that will just give you a bit of inspiration and a bit of vision and a bit of direction to spend your weekend with a bit of intention. And I wouldn't be super strict with it. Like, some people organise that they have like a routine for their weekend and stuff like that, and you know, you could do that, but I think you don't have to. You really don't have to do anything more than just having a notion of what you could do and just being very firm on that. Because I do think there's some benefit in actually being quite open to the experience of the weekend, you know, and just letting what happens, what's presented to you, happen, you know, rather than being too tight up about it. So, just to give you an example, you know, yesterday, I went for a walk to do and I went and sat in a cafe and did some journaling. And in my head I was like, oh, I'll get back and do some video editing afterwards. But I was actually really enjoying myself journaling and just walking around Oxford, and it felt quite therapeutic and quite relaxing. And so I changed the plan. I was like, I feel like life's kind of presented me with this opportunity just to wander around Oxford and do some journaling. So that's what I'm going to do today. So I think having a to-do list that you don't stick too stringently to, you let the day sort of present itself to you. But it has the to-do list just keeps you grounded. And if you're sitting there at home a bit bored, you know, you're tempted to just go and waste time on your phone or, you know, whatever. This stuff keeps you grounded. You know, you can just look at this and be like, oh, I can just go and do that. And, you know, again, like, who knows what I really should be spending the time doing? You know, is that the best use of my time? But it's better than sitting here on Instagram. So Yeah, that's a really key thing. So yeah, that's really how I advise people do it. But I think one other thing that I will say that I think is really important is with this you do have to have quite a lot of self-compassion, because it is really difficult to organise your time effectively to do what you want, and no one's ever taught you to do it. Like, I recognise this, no one ever taught me in school to use my time effectively. You know, in school you have to do the work and you do what the teacher says and blah blah blah. You're penalised if you don't do it. And in work it's the exact same. You know, someone else is breathing down your neck. You're doing work for someone else. There's no real point in life where someone teaches you to use self-discipline to actually do what you genuinely want to do. You know, we don't really think of work like we're never really encouraged to act on our own desires. Like, we're just not. Anything that goes above like our desire to sit in front of the TV, or you know, to like, I don't know, go out on a Friday, whatever. But the truth is, like, we all have desires that are much more profound than that. They go much deeper. And yeah, we're just never really taught to, oh, you know, you got a desire to start a YouTube account or whatever. We're never really like encouraged to think for ourselves and actually realise that sort of idea. And it's difficult. It takes practice to learn how to do that. So just forgive yourself if it takes a while to get productive on the weekends, because frankly, like, someone should have told you how to do this. Someone should have told you how to direct your attention productively to accomplish your own goal rather than someone else's goal. You know, and after how many years of like basically psychological warfare, just making you a sheep, just doing what everyone else is doing, just doing what you're told. You know, of course you're going to find it difficult when suddenly you're expecting yourself to do it yourself. So no wonder that you waste the weekends, you know, because it's been programmed into us, literally. And, you know, maybe it's coincidence, maybe it's not, who knows, you know, it's not really what I want to get into, but just have some self-compassion for yourself if you find it difficult. But just going back to it, the really important thing is just you just really focus on like what you actually want to do with the weekend. Why are you looking forward to it? You know, is it because you want to enjoy yourself? Is it because it gives you the freedom to do some kind of higher purpose, some kind of bigger thing that, you know, some kind of project or whatever that you're looking forward to? Just really get clear on that, and that is how you have the best results. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, as always. Hopefully there's something here that you can apply to make your life better. And if you watch the end, I invite you to get involved in my coaching. There'll be a link in the description, so book a call with me. It'd be great to hear from you. But apart from that, it's been a pleasure, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.